Welcome back to Money Talks. I'm Mike Hayflick hosting today's show here on WGRZ. Always happy to be here, and I want to thank everyone here who produces this show. They do an awesome job for us every single week. We can't be happy enough to be here. I'd like to now introduce a friend of mine, a senior wealth manager and certified divorce financial analyst, Ron Reinstein, here in the studio.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Happy to be here. This is a
Likewise.
lot of fun. We spend a lot of time in the office together working on different concerns, initiatives, marketing, all sorts of good stuff. One of the things that you focus on is the divorce situations that people, and
unfortunately, they're going to come in.
Half of the population, right? I mean, the stats are still statistically half of folks out there may at least consider or ultimately go through with a divorce. So one of the things I know we've talked about, and we're going to focus on a little bit today, is people's homes. The home must be one of the biggest assets that a person and their spouse might share.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. And a house, it's going to represent more than just 2x4s, brick, stone. It represents stability, it represents security. It's also even status. And as you look at the house, and before you want to get engaged inside of like determining, do you want to really fight to keep that house, you're always going to want to make sure financially doesn't make sense to do so, not just 10 months down the road, 10 years down the road.
Sure.
But the other thing too is I also will say to people too is I'm also going to be, you want to be aware if there's little children in the house,
right,
you don't want to keep uprooting them. But you know, more importantly though too is just make sure it doesn't make sense to keep that asset, even though it could be the biggest one.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So.
And ultimately, there's often a mortgager involved, right? You've taken a loan. So the financial impacts and the financial sort of repositioning, that's got to be a big part of this. Right?
Absolutely. The house is just more than a mortgage payment, taxes, and even insurance. You want to make sure that you have enough cash flow coming in for them, so for the income that it takes. If it's more than 1/3 of what you're going to pay, for those expenses for what you have coming in for monthly cash flow, you're going to be house poor.
Right.
So you want to make sure that there's enough, and if you're going to look at having alimony or child support help bridge that gap, you better make sure that's going to get paid, because if it's not, you're going back to court, you're paying an attorney, and that's more money that's going to come out.
Sure. Now, I know for my own house, I could go around my entire exterior and interior of the home and make a huge list of things I'd like to do. What if there are things that are in disrepair or updates that this couple was planning to make? Yeah,
if you're anticipating a new roof, a new furnace, hot water tank, major appliances, Mike, you don't want to go into this and say, well, the cash flow will be there at some point. You want to make sure that money is set aside, because those things, again, it's going to keep costing you money though too.
Sure.
Even if you have a townhouse or a condo, there's association dues. There's a special assessment that may come around. I've seen it from owning a townhouse before too, that there's a $7,000 bill that's got to get paid because people need new roofs.
Right, sure.
So is that $7,000 that you're spending for a special assessment? Maybe owning a single family ranch, maybe a new roof is a little bit cheaper.
Sure.
But as you brought up, fall's coming. Leaves need to get raked, mulch.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do the housework that comes with it, or if you want to go out and shovel or snow blow in the winter, you got to have the money to pay for those services.
Someone's got to do it.
You got it.
Right. And if it's the person who might be leaving that home that did all those things, you've got to factor in, right, the financial sort of cost to do it. Now, in our area, it seems like real estate stays pretty level, but when you're talking about separating for the rest of your lives, divorcing, how do you then value the possible appreciation, the possible depreciation of that asset?
Yeah, real estate prior to 2008, that was always the ruse that we would hear, is that it's always going to go up, it's always going to go up in value. But after 2008, that argument hasn't really held water. The market stabilized, especially in Western New York. Inventory seems to be catching up a little bit, but houses go very quick these days, which we haven't really seen in a long time. So if you're also looking at it that the house is going to appreciate, and then you're going to sell it and cash out and pull out that equity, as we saw 10 years ago, 9 years ago, that plan may not have come to fruition.
Thank you. Yeah, and we're going to come right back after a quick break here with Ron Reinstein, Senior Wealth Manager with the Financial Guys and Certified Divorce Financial Analyst. We're talking about a home and what to do with a home once you do go through a divorce. So we'll be right back here on WGRZ. Welcome back to Money Talks. I'm Mike Hayflick here hosting today's show. Happy to do so. We love being here every Tuesday to inform, hopefully empower people out there to make great financial decisions. I want you to also know to go to our website, thefinancialguys.com. Call us 633-1515 throughout the week if you'd like to pop into our office. Just maybe talk about your unique situation. Sometimes we speak a lot about general ideas and general topics. We wouldn't want you to make any rash choices for your own lives without really talking to one or more of our specialists in our office. Also, like us on Facebook or check us on Twitter @FinGuys. I'm here with Ron Reinstein in the studio. We're just going to wrap up our conversation on what couples need to do when there's a house in the picture and how you divide it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we talked about the idea that sometimes, people get into those homeowning situations, but if someone is now missing from that situation, it's a whole nother ballgame.
Oh, absolutely.
One person now has to take care of it. One person might now have the children to also take care of in that same house. But what about things like refinancing? What about ownership of that house? How do you handle that?
So if the mortgage is held joint with the marital couple, now you're looking at, you got to get refinancing for that residence. You have to get the one person off the mortgage.
Right.
That's how you're going to do it. And
It's not that easy.
No, it's not. So, I mean, mortgage companies typically are not going to remove a name just because of a divorce.
Sure.
So now that other person has to apply for a mortgage. Well, again, going back to 08, getting a mortgage was very easy.
Right.
Now, after what we saw with the housing collapse, getting a mortgage these days almost seems to come with, here's a promissory note if I don't pay for one of my kidneys, just in case.
Boy.
Yeah, so however, now if the person cannot get approval to now take on the house, now the whole picture changes. So as much as you may want to dig in your heels to fight for that house, make sure financially it's a palatable situation all across the board. So if it's the repairs, if it's, again, the taxes, the mortgage, the insurance, then it's also making sure that a lending company will say, you can own that house still.
Right, right.
And just so it doesn't squeeze everything else on that day-to-day cash flow metric for people.
So sharing that home together, but also sharing every expense and responsibility in a home. Instead of together, it's now one person needing to do it.
In essence,
and
absolutely.
credit matters, right? Credit scoring for one person versus two people accomplishing that matters.
Absolutely. So, I mean, if there's no way that you can get financing, then the whole situation changes. So that's why I always encourage people, too, is just be aware that it's like you want to have a plan that's the best case scenario.
Right, right.
Then what's the middle of the road, I guess, but it's the situation and the outcome is okay.
Right.
But always be prepared. Always, like you said, educate. Know what your options are as it helps in making those decisions.
Don't go into this situation blindly thinking, oh my gosh, my husband or my wife is clearly way more informed about this than I am, so I'm going to lose. Don't do that. Come in, see Ron Reinstein at our office. Call us, 633-1515. Talk about some of the concerns in the privacy of our office, and maybe he can help you, navigate you through that whole process. Which now I'd like to just talk a little bit about something coming up, a big event we have. It's the second annual Financial Super Forum. This year it will be held at the Buffalo Marriott Niagara on Millersport Highway in Amherst, a pretty common place. Lots of big events are held there. This powerhouse educational event, though, is it's going to take place all day long. So from 9 o'clock at registration all the way through to about 4 o'clock, there are several, I think 13 to my count, different topics to be handled there. I'm going to go through a few that I know we've done in the past, but also some new ones. Ron and I'm happy to say, we're actually going to be presenting. Yep. And we have something called the Triple Threat Series, or the Triple Threat Forum. Wealth management, Social Security optimization, and tax efficiency. Right. So we're really excited to do that. I'll also be doing a session on Social Security claiming strategies. We also have a couple new workshops that we're going to be handling. the income tax planning by Esther Gulius and her crew. We have also improving your credit score and debt management strategies. So please, please think about coming to our event. I'd like to now wrap up today. We've run out of time, folks. That's all the time we have. It's been a pleasure hosting today's show. Again, if you need us throughout the week, call 633-1515 or email us at thefinancialguys.com. Also, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter using @FinGuys. Thanks for tuning in to Money Talks. We'll see you next week, and God bless.